I wouldn't say like foreigners. I would say like anybody with possible access to Palestine. One part of the behavior of the regime in control of Palestine now is to dominate and have monopoly over what they call tourism. Because big part of the brainwashing is to bring you and guide you and make sure that you don't see Palestinians. You don't see them, you are not introducing them. In the best case scenario, you bring in Palestinians who fit within the racist image that the State of Israel goes on inducing in the minds of people around the world. I, for one, find it very, very difficult to explain Palestine away from Palestine. And that doesn't have to do with like my ability or inability of describing the reality. That had to do with the entire mess that was created by defenders, supporters, and beneficiaries of Israeli criminal behavior around the world. So the best way I saw through experience is to invite people in, explain the reality the way it is, where they will always realize that it's ways worse and more profound than any of the accurate reports that are going on. I had so many people who would come learn about the different forms of Israeli apartheid. In this society, in Poland, Israeli apartheid is still being debated. Does it happen? Doesn't it happen? But when you come and see it the way it is, you realize that it's ways worse than apartheid South Africa. In apartheid South Africa, if you were born to a white family, you are subject to one set of rules that maintain supremacy for you. And if you're born to an indigenous family, you are inferior by law. One system. In Palestine, the State of Israel have developed 4 systems of apartheid. One that Palestinian survivors of the ethnic cleansing are subject to, the so-called Israeli Arabs. Another one is nearly 450,000 of us within the Israeli boundaries of Jerusalem that are subject to, permanent residents of Jerusalem. Another one is the Palestinian residents of the occupied West Bank, a brutal draconian military rule that is made of more than 1,600 military orders that are imposed upon the residents of the Palestinian residents of the West Bank from the day they are born. And then you see what it means to have some kind of a legal system imposed on the Palestinians in Gaza, where the Palestinians in Gaza are viewed as residents of a hostile entity. Those are 4 separate, different Israeli legal systems that are imposed upon the Palestinians remaining in Palestine. It's impossible to explain the kind of structured ways of Israeli behavior toward the Palestinian people in Palestine without actually having you being there. You being there physically and mentally. Now, there is a cornerstone for Israeli propaganda. It's ignore the mind and talk, exploit people emotionally. So when you exploit people emotionally, they shut down their brain. And so I don't feel good about calling the Israeli criminal behavior. No, I don't feel good about you using the term apartheid. Or I don't feel good about you describing Israeli behavior in Gaza as genocide. It's I'm not a therapist here. Your feelings are things that need to be discussed in a therapy room. Here we are talking about real life being murdered, destroyed, eliminated out of existence because it makes sense some brutals who want to maintain a Jewish-only state in the land of Palestine. So it's really difficult to get this message across. It's really difficult to get people to understand, rationally understand, mentally understand how Israeli oppression of the Palestinian people operates, rather than just focus on how Palestinian people survive that form of savagery. So in a way, to me, I wish there was an easier way to bring Palestine into every household and show people how they are being fooled into believing that this kind of reality is complicated, or this kind of reality is difficult to understand? There's nothing difficult about oppression. There's nothing difficult. But what's going on, like, if we need people to understand the reality of what's happening in Palestine and also see how they're not guilty of the crime, but they have responsibilities towards that crime.